Folks, most people can't afford these homes. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending December 11th, 2024. There's so much talk these days about the new mortgage rules, specifically the down payment. It used to be that anything under $1 million, you didn't need 20%. Over $1 million, you needed a minimum 20% down payment. Now that bar has been moved from $1 million to $1.5 million. So less than $1.5 million, you could get away with less than 20% down. Over 1.5, you need minimum 20% down. Well, the average sold price for a detached property in the City of Toronto hovers around 1.6, 1.7 lately. It used to be much more, but lately 1.6, 1.7 or so, that's where the average sold price is. So that 1.5 million benchmark right now, where less than 20% or you need 20% down payment, it is not even the cost of what we say the average sold price is for a detached property. So let's just put it, for sake of argument, at 1.5. I've had recently many conversations around this. I'm working with a buyer couple right now, actually, and as we're looking at properties, they're talking about their friends who recently purchased. These are friends that they work with. They kind of have a pretty good idea how much their friends earn. They're very familiar with their friends' lifestyle. They're friends, they hang out together, they do things together. And their friends just bought for around 1.5. And my clients can't figure out how their friends can afford this property. Because my clients are thinking, okay, let's just say they actually put 20% down. How do they afford? At 1.5, 20% down would be $300,000. That would mean they have a mortgage of $1.2 million, plus all the other expenses that go along with owning a home, property tax and utilities and all, just life and their car payments. They have no idea how their friends can afford this property. And I've had many of these conversations, and this is kind of the essence of what I want to talk about. We don't always know what's going on in people's lives. And when it comes to finances and mortgages, if you know somebody who's purchased, they're not just openly telling you, yeah, we bought this with 30% down, or yeah, we had to put down 40% or 35%, or yeah, we just put the minimum 10% down and we're able to buy this. They're not necessarily telling you this. So my clients who are talking about their friends and they're scratching their heads thinking, how can they afford it? Because my clients are looking at their own personal situation and it's very similar to their friend's situation financially. My clients know they can't afford to do what their friends did. But they're using 20% minimum down payment. And I can't say 100% for sure, but I'm pretty confident they didn't buy with just 20% down. And this is what I'm getting at. There's a lot of people out there, the conversation thinking that, wow, so I can get away with less than 20% down. I could buy a 1.4, 1.5 with 10% down, 15% down. And they've been struggling trying to get their down payment for 20% because they were going to buy for over $1 million. Now they don't need 20% anymore. They're thinking, wow, this is going to be really easy. I can qualify. It's not quite that easy. I'm not trying to give you mortgage advice. I am a realtor. I help people buy and sell properties. I do not get people qualified for mortgages. I understand a little bit about it because of the profession I'm in, but I am not giving you mortgage advice. There are plenty of people where that's their full-time professional job that can help you. However, I can tell you from personal experience, the clients I've helped, that have purchased in the around 1.5 range, they're not buying with a minimum 20% down. They're coming in with more money. Sometimes it's gifted money from parents. Sometimes, many times, it's equity that they built up in a previous property that we're selling in order for them to buy. So they're buying with 30, 40, 50% down or more in some cases. So buying with a minimum of 20% down, like the bare bones minimum, and having a mortgage of over $1 million, it may seem commonplace, but it's not. And nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about how big their mortgage is. It's personal finances. People don't just openly share this information. You can figure out what they bought. You could kind of guess at what they earn, but you're not going to know what their down payment is. I can tell you, again, personal experience, working with my clients, 20% down when you're in that price point is, it's not even the minimum. Like to think that you're going to have a $1 million mortgage or more, the amount of income that's needed to service that mortgage on a monthly basis, you got to be making big money. And some people do, and some people qualify for that. But the majority of people will not qualify for a $1 million plus mortgage. It is uncommon. It's not like an everyday, all the time, yeah, this is normal. It is uncommon. And just keep that in mind. Just because these are the new standards as far as mortgages and 1.5 million and under that, you don't need 20%, doesn't mean people are tripping over themselves to actually get these mortgages, because having a $1 million mortgage, servicing that, big money. You need big income to service that. If you think this video can help somebody you know, excuse me, if you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. There's a link to my calendar here, another one below in the description. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. City of Toronto, we're focused on the freehold market. I do have average prices for condo here just to give you a contrast. The average price for condo, $705. Tomorrow is a whole show just on condos, but today we're going to be focused on detached, semis, and towns. Let's get started. For the City of Toronto only, detached properties for week ending December 11th, 98 detached properties were sold. 22 of those were at $2 million or more. Sales are trending down. It's not a surprise. This is what we expect. At the fall market starts, activity goes up, sales volumes go up, but at some point it turns and heads to a more quieter time of year, towards the end of the year, towards the winter months. That's just normal. So sales are coming down. Average sold price up from previous week to $1,653,000. 1,653 is 14% lower than where we were this time last year. I should say though something about average sold price. I'm going to go back a second. Once we get into these lower sales volumes, we see more volatility in average sold price. That's because if more expensive properties get sold or less expensive properties get sold, it will affect the overall average number quite a bit more than, say, when we're selling 200 properties in a week. So that's what we're seeing here. That's why average sold price shot way up. And compared to last year, it's still 14% lower. Last year, we had the same thing happen at that time. The median price is actually 15% lower than where we were this time a year ago. And if we look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, it's kind of flat. Prices really over the fall period overall haven't changed that much. 98 were sold, 36% sold at list price or more. Listings coming down. It's what we normally see this time of year. Active listings, the amount of detached properties available for sale, also coming down. And months of inventory looks like it's climbing. We're now sitting at 3.8 months of inventory. That's the whole city. If we look at the city of Toronto broken down into 9 different sections, we kind of look at it like Scarborough, for example, 2.7 months of inventory, 52% of the properties sold at list price or more. So more than half the properties selling at list price or more. Months of inventory, 2.7, is much slower than the 3.8 months of inventory we see for the whole city as an average. East York, Riverdale, also more than half the properties sold at list price or more, 54%. Months of inventory is 2.5, more in the seller's category, but the top end of a seller's market category, approaching a balanced market. High Park kind of goes the other way. A third, there's only 3 sales, but one of those sold at list price or more. 5.1 is the months of inventory. Etobicoke is kind of more or less average of the whole city at 3.7 months of inventory. And we can go on and on. I mean, York Mills, Rosedale, 7.1 months of inventory, but we're saying the whole city's 3.8. The reason I'm pointing these out, there will be different buying and selling experiences depending on which part of the city you're looking to buy or sell your home, depending on what the home type is, depending on what the price point is. You will experience different types of markets within the overall market of the city of Toronto. But overall, months of inventory, 3.8 and climbing. Semi-detached properties, 29 were sold for week ending December 11th. 11 of those sold at $1.5 million or more. Sales are trending down. Average sold price, $1,393,000, which is quite high for semi-detached properties. So average sold price, these are crazy numbers, right? 31% higher than this time last year. Median price, 41% high. I'm almost uncomfortable saying that percentage, but it's for 1 week, whatever that situation is. If we go back, we're way up here at 1,393. Last year at this time, we were at a little bit over a million or 1.1 million for semi-detached properties. Well, we've also seen the numbers kind of drop, but these last couple of weeks, prices shot through the roof when it comes to semis. It's a combination of those semis that got sold. Months of inventory, looks like it's climbing overall. We're sitting at 2.5 months of inventory. That's for semi-detached properties. Townhouses, doesn't look like sales are changing much for townhouses. 15 of those were sold for week ending December 11th. These are freehold townhouses. One of those was sold at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price has come down to $1,033,000. $1,033,000 is 9% lower than it was this time a year ago. The median price is 6% lower. And months of inventory kind of looks like it's coming down actually for freehold townhouses. We're sitting at 2.2 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary of months of inventory. Overall, you're going to experience more of a balanced market, but there are situations where you will be competing. And in some pockets and in some price points, we're seeing more than half the properties are selling at list price or more. That doesn't necessarily mean there's multiple offers on all these properties, but a property comes out at a price where somebody immediately buys it for whatever it's listed at. It could have been that property has been on the market, and we see this often. This price, it's not selling. This price is not selling. And finally, the seller has run out of runway and puts it at a price where it sells immediately at full price. But they tried several times at a different price. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.